welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. And today is July 19th, 2025. I have a lot of tags I want to do. I haven't had the time. But I'm going to start out with one that's easy. It's kind of what I've been doing the last couple years every season. I don't really do seasonal decks. If push comes to shove, I will name off decks that go for winter, spring, summer, fall. And I did the last couple years, I've done spring decks and summer decks. So I decided to go ahead and do my summer decks. This is just going to be hashtag summer decks. I'm pretty sure I did it last year. I don't know what I did last year, what decks were in here last year, but I know two of these decks, I have the top 10 decks that I would deem as summer decks. Now that can change from year to year depending on what goes into my collection, but two of these decks kind of overlap, and the first thing you think of in summer and spring are these two decks, so I'll let you know which ones are which. But I have the top 10 decks that I deem as summer decks, and I live in the Midwest in Kansas City, Missouri, and we have had the most horrendous humid weather. And then we had a storm the other day, and for 2 days it stormed, and we're just like, yes, relief. But then yesterday afternoon, it went from cloudy in the morning to almost 100 degrees in the afternoon, and we're like dying. And it's been in the 90s, but with the heat index, it's felt like it's been over 100 degrees. And then this whole next week coming, it's supposed to be actually over 100 degrees every day. So all we did was get a reprieve from even worse heat wave coming. So it's been a hot summer, like very hot so far. And I'm just like, anyway, I'm rambling. So let's get into my top 10 summer decks of 2025. So forever and always, this is actually the first deck in my spring decks also. It's the first deck I ever thought of as a seasonal deck, partly because of the backs. It is the Joie de Vivre Tarot by Paulina Cassidy, now Paulina Faye. This is a US Games deck. These are the backs. It's got a lot of oranges and reds in it, which is why I automatically thought of this as my sun deck. And anytime I think of sun, I think of spring and summer. And I like the colors in it, that it could be for late spring, where all the colors are becoming more, instead of like pastels, they're becoming deeper and richer, darker reds, darker oranges in all the flowers. And then there's a lot of water in this deck as well, which means, you need the water to cool off because it's hot. So I feel like this is a great deck that transitions from spring to summer, which is why it's always number one on my list for either spring or summer. But I think it's gorgeous. I love the coloring in it. It's beautiful. And there's my Queen of Swords right there. It's like a cross between Nightmare Before Christmas and Alice in Wonderland, I think. And I love it. Love it to pieces. But yes, this is the Joie de Vivre Tarot number one on my list here for decks for summer. And most of these decks are going to be hot because they're red, deep reds and things like that, because of pretty much just how we've been here lately. We've been over in the upper 90s every day, so, and it's ridiculous. On my third cup of coffee. And number two, little on the nose, this is a Bonfire Tarot 2nd edition. You guys know I got this. This came out last year. I got it last year. I've done nothing but rave about this deck since I got it. It's beautiful. It's smaller cards, different card stock, which I love. It's came red edged. Yeah, everything about this deck screams summer. Like, everything is red. Everything is on fire. And when I thought of doing this tag, I was like, yeah, we have to add the Bonefire Tarot because it is definitely the heat of summer, this deck. Definitely. I think it's beautiful. I don't get along with the first edition just because the colors were so vibrant. This is still vibrant in a way that, you know, there's lots of reds and rich colors, but it was so bright and coupled with the cardstock that the first edition actually made me nauseous, made me sick. This one is completely different experience to me because they've toned down some of the colorations. It's a completely different cardstock than that waxy, shiny cardstock. I mean, there's a shine to it. That's because that's my light. But this is a nice matte cardstock. It's smaller to handle, so you can handle it better if you want to riffle shuffle. You can do that. And there's fire in almost every card. Or vibrant sunset, like, or sunrise. Who knows? Look at that. Gorgeous. Yeah, this is the very first deck when I thought of doing this tag this year. I'm like, I have to add the Bonefire Tarot in there because everything about this deck screams the heat of summer. And there's the backs, if I didn't show you. Got fire on it. Gorgeous. And I love this deck. 2 pieces. It's funny how just the difference in the coloration in a deck changes the whole, not aesthetic, but the whole energy of the deck. Because the first one just doesn't do it for me. The second one, just, it's a completely different experience than what I had with the first one. Which caused me to never use it. I usually use the crap out of the second edition. So, deck number 3, and also right up there with decks I think of in summer, because all the pools are now open, community pools, things like that. We have to have water in our life, right, during summer. So we have the Kauai Tarot by, and I didn't tell you, the Bonefire Tarot was by Red Feather. This is by Rock Point. This was gifted to me. Somebody was getting rid of a couple decks, and they said the first one to text me. Comes a little book. I actually have a bigger book that goes with it too. That I found at Five and Below. There's the backs. She said it was a fellow YouTuber. She said the first one to message me that they want the deck, I'll send it to them for free. And there was 2 decks I wanted. This is one of them. I actually bought another deck called the Kauai Tarot at Five and Below, and it was a different Kauai Tarot. This is the one I thought I was getting, and it wasn't. But look at all the water in this. It's so cute. It's very summer at the water park. Kids at the water park. Very much that. And I don't like cutesy decks, but this was like my first exception. Because I'm like, it's so freaking cute. And it so fits that vibe of summer by the pool that I was like, I need it in my life. Now, have I used it a whole lot? No. But I love this 8 of Swords. I think it's adorable in any way. I have not regretted buying it or getting it, for free. It's adorable, and I love it to pieces. Anytime I want to feel like a kid again, I will pull this deck out. Because this is probably the one deck I have that it just brings out the kid in me when I'm looking at it. It's so adorable. So that's by the pool. Now we're back to hot, scorched earth with Keeper of the Sacred Bee. This is also the second and only other tarot deck I had in the spring decks video. This is an indie deck. This is by Kelly Burton. This was the third and final deck in the B series that she had. Gorgeous. Here's the book. Here's the backs. And of course, sunflowers come out in the summer. So, immediately think of that. And then we have these beautiful lavender edges. Gorgeous. But there's a lot of, again, fiery, well, this, I'm not saying any of them right now, but there's a lot of fiery yellows and reds and oranges in this deck that, especially with the backs, it makes me think of summer. Look at all the, plus all the sunflowers in it. There's so many. And I actually grew sunflowers this year for the first time, and I thought I was getting, because apparently there are such a thing as purple sunflowers. I thought that's what I was getting, but I actually was getting the mini sunflowers, so they're yellow. But I was like, either way, I'm cool, because I didn't want the big, huge ones, because I put them in a flower pot. They still got maybe 6 foot high, but they're the smaller versions. But I'm like, I love it. And look, this totally reminds me of, because we had such heat, they're starting to wilt now. That's what they're looking like. No matter how much I water it, the heat is just killing everything. Except my garden. So, my vegetable garden. I got tomatoes going crazy. I got squash going crazy. I got zucchini going crazy. Look at all the sunflowers. And I got a couple pepper plants that they're blooming, but there's no peppers yet. So, but yeah, this totally reminds me of summer, just because this is, to me, again, that transition between spring into summer, because there's a lot of cool colors in this too, cooler colors. So yeah, that's totally my other transitional deck. Deck 5, I keep it in this bag. It is a, I'm pretty sure, yeah, US Games deck. It is the Crystal Visions Tarot. I've took the borders off and edged it in this beautiful coloring that matches the backs perfectly. Yeah, everything about this screams summer to me, just because even in the wintry pictures, there's lots of reds and sunset, and of course, and dragons. And when I think of those things, I think of summer. Yeah, this is a gorgeous little deck. I never really use it anymore, but it's super cute. And it's more pocket size, or 10 on a 10 size, now that I've trimmed it. But it's a gorgeous little deck. Love it to pieces. I like all the reds in it. Let's see what we got here. Lots of reds. Look at that with the sunflowers. Look. Oh my goodness. Gorgeous. 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 Let's see, we got a big red one here. Ooh, yeah, the Queen of Wands. Gorgeous. Yep, that's the Crystal Visions Tarot. I actually bought this just to trim it and to practice my trimming, because I got it real cheap. And it turned out it was a real cutie to have. I like it. It's deck 5. Deck 6. The Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay D. Williams. This is the mass market version by US Games. I was chomping at the bit to get this deck. I waited till it went mass market, because I heard a rumor years ago saying Desert Illuminations is going mass market. I'm like, what? So I had been contemplating buying it then. So I'm like, I'll just wait for it to come out mass market. That was like 3-4 years ago. And it finally came out in October 2024, November 2024, December, one of them, October, November, December 2024. So it hasn't been out a year yet. I love the backs. Love the teal edging it came with. Love how it shuffles. Shuffles amazing. But most of this deck is orange and bright pinks. And again, it's also the desert. There ain't no winter in the desert. I mean, there is, but there isn't. So, immediately, look at this, the desert. The 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, this deck is like an ultimate summer deck, just because of all the desert, the red, the oranges, the pinks. It screams summer. And then we got the suit of chilies It's all pink chilies, red chilies, hot chilies. Makes you think of hot. And then we got a lot of desert pictures in here, images in here. We got the cactus suit, which is the pentacles. I'm pretty sure. I haven't used it in a minute, so I forget. The jugs are water, cups. Peppers are wands. Or chilies are wands. And I lived in New Mexico for a time, and this deck is very much New Mexico. I love the mountains here, and I've seen this kind of scenery before in New Mexico. So I feel a special bond with this deck just because I've experienced some of the landscape that this deck holds, and it's stunning. And it's funny because I lived in New Mexico for a while. When I went and visited my daughter in 2020, I visited her in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is the state above New Mexico. And when I lived in New Mexico and when I went to Salt Lake City, it literally felt like I was coming home because I don't know why, but I feel like a part of a past life lived in the desert over there in either New Mexico or Salt Lake City, somewhere around there, or it just reminded me of a past life, and it literally feels like coming home. And so that's part of why I was chomping at the bit to get this deck, because I knew what it looked like, and it did not disappoint. I love this deck. 2 pieces. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Just gorgeous. So yeah, everything about this deck makes me think. Everything about this deck makes me think of summer. And I love it. To death. So that was deck 6. I gotta pick up the pace here. How are we on time? I don't even know what time it is. Can't even see it. 16. Yeah, we gotta hurry up. Next is the Supernova Tarot. Supernova immediately makes you think of fire, right? And this one is very fiery. This is by Los Scarabeo. Make sure I got all the extras out. Here's the backs. This is the bigger, glossy 2-part box style cards. Lots of reds in here. Lots of fiery. There may not be a lot of fire like red. I mean, there is a lot of red, but that's not why I think this card deck is so fiery. The energy of this deck is very fiery, very out there, very in your face, and that's why this had to be part of my top 10. I love this deck to death. It's so freaking quirky, and I love it 2 pieces. I did not think I would like it, and I was like, I need this deck in my life. Didn't realize it had came out in May of last year. I love this Wheel of Fortune. I wound up getting it, I think, in June or July. Look at the freaking boots. It just cracks me up. And I used it, and it was like, wow. I love you. It's so fun. And it also makes me think of circus. I've never been to like a boardwalk. It makes me think of like the boardwalk on like Venice Beach or something like that, where they have like rides and they have the guy with the snake on his shoulders. That's what this deck reminds me of. Something like that. And so yeah, I had to add it in there. So that's deck 7. Deck 8 and 9 are, this is deck 8, Tarot of the Great Outdoors, for the Great Outdoors, sorry. This is a mass market. It is Skipstone Publishing. I've heard that they've come out with a better cardstock, but it doesn't show when you go online and look anything different than what I already have. This is a very papery cardstock. I've actually edged this in purple. One of my friends at work bought me this for my birthday. It came out September 1st, 2023. And my birthday's the 2nd. So it was definitely a birthday gift. I fell instantly in love with this deck. Everything about this screams summer. Even though there's wintry images in here, all the majors are in a U.S. National Park. Even with all the wintry images in here, it screams summer because most of the things in this deck you would do in the summertime. Well, you could ski, and there's places to go skiing in the summer. But you're more active outdoors in the summer. And that's what I think of with this deck. Like, yeah, whitewater rafting, Yeah, just everything about this to me screams summer also, even with the wintry stuff you're doing in it. It's gorgeous. I love this deck to death. Even if it wasn't just, something someone bought me as a gift specifically, I would still love this deck. Now, if you guys have a link to where the better cardstock is, let me know, because when you go online, it doesn't tell you if it's a newer version of the deck or not. I've heard a rumor that they've changed the cardstock. I don't know. I'm very happy with the deck I got, even though it is a very thin cardstock. So if you guys, I wouldn't mind a second copy just because it's so wonderful. If you guys know a link to get to the better cardstock, let me know. Deck 9 is, again, the Adventure Tarot. It's the same reason. This is by Elizabeth Sue. This is a Andrews McMeel Publishing. It's got a 2-part box. The cardstock on this is much better, much thicker than the one I just showed you. It's got a nice little book. This was $7. I don't know if it was because they're not selling it, nobody's buying it, or what, but I paid $7 for this just a few months ago. It's got this gilding, gold gilding. It does come off. I do like the cardstock. It's not bad. It's better than most of the Andrews McMeel Publishing decks I bought. Everything, again, about this reminds me of summer because it's outdoorsy. It's almost like a girls' trip in the summertime, doing things together. It's very outdoorsy. So, again, which is why I think of summer, because most people do all their things in summer outside. Some people may not and just like doing things in the middle of winter. I don't. I want to be cozy under a blanket in my house. So this is what made me think of these two decks. I love them to pieces. And I can't believe this was $7. It's still $7. I think it's $10 now. But it's been $6, $7, $10 for the last year, I think. And I'm like, I don't know why. It's a great deck. It reads wonderful. It's fabulous. So I feel bad that they're not. It was advertising like crazy before it was released, and I don't feel like anybody's paid attention to it or bought it, and it's a nice little cheap gem to have. Anyway, last deck is also an indie deck. It is my second favorite deck ever in the world, my Bonestone and Earthflush Tarot. That is an out-of-print deck that is coming mass market in January. It's already on Amazon for pre-order for January. Red gilding. My second favorite deck ever. This is a Anatolian art deck. I can't remember her name, the creator. But this is Anatolian's artwork. I love it. This is my second favorite deck ever. It almost has the same energy as my Lightseers, which is my favorite ever deck. It's just slightly different. I don't know why or what's caused it to be slightly off, but this deck feels more approachable in the way that I would read for other people with this deck, and I have. I don't with my Lightseers, because that's my deck. That's my best friend. That's a not secret, but what's the word I'm looking for? I just don't I don't feel comfortable sharing my best friend, my Lightseers, with other people. If that makes any sense. But this one I will. And I have quite a bit. I've used this deck quite a bit for mediumship readings. And let me tell you, craziness. I love that. But yeah, there's a lot of fiery red in this. And there's also the gilding on the edges. That's red. This always makes me think of red. This is a deck that tells it like it is also, but in a firm way, not in a I'm going to slap you across the face way. It's firm but sweet at the same time. And I, of course, love anything Anatolian. Yeah, that deck is gorgeous. So that is all my top 10 for 2025 decks, summer decks. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're loaded any future videos. And y'all have a good afternoon. Bye.